It is hot. I think it's too warm. You know, they show up in the helmets and the black masks, and they've got clubs and they've got everything. AntiFa! So, AntiFa! AntiFa!
Hi folks, and welcome to another video from aplaintruth.info. Well, that was our wonderful 45th president, or your wonderful 45th president. He's not mine, or any other president. Doesn't rule over me, or have the authority over me, or how one person can have say over 310 million people and everybody obeys them is beyond my comprehension at this point. But you know, he's promoting the word AntiFa or AntiFa or however you want to pronounce it, which I chronicled in a video a few weeks ago showing how it was a made up theme to create dissension and create the racist theme and bait the left versus the right. And here we see Democracy Now! Picking it up and saying, oh, thousands were in protest. Well, let's find out, how big was the crowd, Democracy Now! How big was that crowd? Do you see any pictures of protesters outside of Trump talking? Oh, here's one guy. And you click on it, there's no pictures at all. There's no pictures of anybody protesting. And they're saying, oh, it turned unruly after. Here we go. Where's the unruliness? Where's the pictures? One guy holding up a sign. That's their evidence, folks. Fake news, you're right. And here they're baiting race, all this for 6 people. They're saying they're going to have in San Francisco and Seattle and Washington and up in Boston. All these protesters are coming out. The AntiFa. These are agent provocateurs, folks. All they're doing is race baiting and trying to get us to hate one another. That's the goal of all this, to fight each other so they don't have to. And as I chronicled in my previous video about AntiFa or AntiFa, that it's all man-made, it's all created by the Tavistock Institute as another meme for us to fight over and learn their language, so we repeat it. We can see Fox News picking up AntiFa. We see Democracy Now! And look at the flag, folks. Red, white, and black. White and black, get it? With red being the warrior, the Mars. This is how they roll. And here's Trump talking about it, bringing it up. Democracy Now! Is picking it up. All these shows now, they're using the term. It's the new meme we're going to learn now. It's AntiFa or AntiFa or whatever. Don't take the bait, folks. They're trying to do that. But what they're not reporting on is they're not reporting on real weather. And this is from a story here. Let me get to this. What they're not reporting is horrific weather. Again, in New Orleans, it's coming again. I chronicled in a video a few days ago about New Orleans having another Katrina event. 20 inches of rain in 1 hour. All but one pump was working, people being flooded out of their homes, man-made weather created on shore. Weather War 101 is clearly showing how it's done using NEXRAD, pulsed radar, Doppler systems, and water vapor generating machines. And here we go again. Just a week and a half later, there's coming another one. Another massive storm being parked outside, coming inland, but actually they're taking the storm from the outside and they're intensifying it from the on-ground, onshore water vapor machines, and then they're going to steer it, as we're going to show here. So they're saying workers are forced to evacuate from the Gulf of Mexico platform station. It could intensify right up to landfall on Friday. And here, look at this chart. You're seeing it's Wednesday, Thursday. It's a slow moving from the Gulf storm. But look at as it intensifies as it hits the shore. And then it's going to spin around. See this right here? It's going to spin around its cycle for 2-3 days, just dumping massive amounts of water on these poor people. This is how they're rolling. This is how they do it. Okay, Phillips 66. There you go, the number 66, as we'll get into a little more. Along the coastline, sea rises could rise 4 to 6 feet. Pumps may not work because they're not made to handle this much rain. 10 to 15 inches of rain will probably fall. Some may get as much as 20 inches of rain. All right, and they're calling it very severe and very worse. But it's not just happening where we are in New Orleans. It's not being reported. We have the Luciferian heat wave going across the Midwest. We got massive fires going across Siberia and Russia and Alaska that aren't being reported. And here we see Hong Kong and Macau getting trashed again with typhoons. I mean, these are happening more and more powerfully everywhere. And the news is just simply not reporting that. So just a heads up, say a prayer for the people in New Orleans, Louisiana that aren't getting a shout out. Hey, we're with you guys. We're supporting you. And maybe we should set up a GoFundMe to help these people. And also I want to bring your attention to another huge study that was just brought out here. This is as of 2 days ago. First of its kind survey showing vaccinated children getting sicker. Children who receive fewer vaccinations are less likely to develop chronic illness. This is published in the scientific publication of the Journal of Translational Science. And they have the doctors on board here. And what's interesting is the numbers here. They're using 7.5% of the 666 children in the study had been diagnosed with neurodevelopment disorder, NDD. Carefully designed, 415 mothers out of the 666 homeschooled between the ages of 6 and 12 were tested. And here they go through the test, and here they have again, they had a 6.6-fold increase in NDD. And it talks about how massive amounts of vaccines have increases from just 3 vaccines to over 50 doses in 15 vaccines by the child's just 6 years old. Children are sicker than they've ever been. Diabetes, allergy, autism, ADHD, the rest of this, asthma. It's never been seen before. The U.S. ranks 38th in the world in healthcare, #1 in costs. We need to speak out. Here's a nice movie or video doc you should check out, Injecting Aluminum. It's going into the vaccines. So painful I couldn't be touched. It's happening to more and more people. But business has got to grow and vaccines got to be injected no matter what. So they keep pushing us. All right, so let's go to the next sector, and this is involving the back to the AntiFa and the whole tearing down the statues of Robert E. Lee that Trump was talking about in the speech, and how they're taking down all the Confederate statues. But I guarantee there won't be one statue they'll be taking down. It's the Albert Pike statue. And here, let's get over to Albert Pike here. So Albert Pike was a Ku Klux Klan high-ranking member. He was a Confederate soldier. But here in Washington, D.C., they have the Scottish Rite Memorial where Albert Pike is entombed. Now, do you know anybody going into Washington, D.C. and ripping up the racist Confederate soldier, KKK founder, and also writer of the book, The Scottish Rite here of Freemasons, Albert Pike? Do you see anybody doing this today? No, they're not even talking about Mr. Albert Pike, but why won't they? Mr. Pike was a pioneer, explorer, Confederate general. He rewrote the rituals of the U.S. Southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite bodies outlined in a book called Moral and Dogma. He held the office of Chief Justice of the Ku Klux Klan while he simultaneously was Sovereign Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite of Masonry in the Southern jurisdiction. The Klansmen wore white sheets represented the ghosts of the dead Confederate soldiers who died in the U.S. Civil War. So this is all part of creating the AntiFa movement, and it was also Mr. Albert Pike who predicted that the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the Agent Tour and the Illuminati, between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic war. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, ISIS, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. And he also predicted the first 2 wars down to a T. So this is, well, we'll get to this in a minute, but this is the House of Temple. It contains the museum of the devoted Albert Pike, who rewrote a number of Scottish Rite rituals and headed the Supreme Council from 1859 to 1891. They did it to put his mausoleum here, and he's inside of it, and it's right at the top of the pentagram in the triple tau, and the triple tau is the triple cross, which we're going to get into in a sec. So it has the Lincoln Memorial on one end, which the Jesuits assassinated. They have the U.S. Capitol where they rule, and you see the Freemason sign, and then you see the pentagram here, and at the top of the tau at the base is the Supreme Council. Well, Albert Pike is. And here you see the owl that is also set up in Washington, D.C. when it was carefully laid out, and here's the owl inside the dollar that they pay homage to it, Bohemian Grove of Moloch as well. So intention is design, and they design mausoleums around Albert Pike. The Washington, D.C. was named Rome, Maryland. And here we see Scottish Rite Freemason Fred Kleineck, head of NASA at the time of the Apollo space program. This is him right here in his Freemason garb. He's the Grand Commander of the Council of 33 Degrees and the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry of the Southern jurisdiction. Here's all the Freemasons that allegedly went to the moon, folks. It's all right in front of us. Now here's the sign, the triple tau of the Southern Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of the USA. It's all about symbolism. And here we see more symbolism. Here we see the triple tau as well, and part of the cultural symbolism that you'll also see in the Jesuit symbolism. And we also see Exxon Mobil and these other ones. Here's the double tau with Exxon having the double cross, Nabisco. Here's the V for Vendetta, the Men in Black movie, also from the Jesuits. Here they have the tau here, and it's all their ancient coat of arms. We also see it in the Vatican symbolism. Here's a cross, here's a cross, here's a cross, here's a cross, here's a cross. It's double triples, okay? This is how they roll. It's right in plain sight. And again, the Exxon Mobils, and what it all relates to is the 9 satanic symbols, which we're going to get into the Luciferian Creed here in the next video or two. But here you see the 9 sides and the 9 satanic sins, and it's symbolized. Everything symbols and images. That's how they get into our subconscious brain. And if you read the 9 satanic sins, 1 is stupidity, 2 is pretentiousness, 3 is solipsism, which Mark Passio gets into, 4 is self-deceit, 5 is herd conformity. We all can see that everywhere. 6 is lack of perspective. 7 is forgetfulness of past orthodoxies. That's why learning history is so important. 8 is counterproductive pride. And 9 is lack of aesthetics. These are the 9 satanic sins that are ruling all of us. So don't give in to the evil doers. Don't give in to the with us or against us. We need to come together. This can be a great rallying cry. Don't participate in these rallies and try and, all you liberals out here in California think you're going to go up against them. You're going up against agent provocateurs. The ones that you think are with you are ones that are going to be against you. They just want to create more and more mayhem and strife and creating conflict. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Got to grab the phone. Plain truth out. Peace. But, he's promoting the word AntiFa or AntiFa or however you want to pronounce it, which I chronicled in a video a few weeks ago showing how it was a made-up theme to create dissension and create the racist theme and bait the left versus the right. Not mine or any other president. Doesn't rule over me or have the authority over me, or how one person can have say over 310 million people and everybody obeys them is beyond my comprehension at this point.
It is hot. I think it's too warm. They AntiFa! AntiFa!
Hi folks, and welcome to another video from plaintruth.info. Well, that was our wonderful 45th president, or your wonderful 45th president.
Show up in the helmets and the black masks, and they've got clubs and they've got everything. AntiFa! So, Antifa.